This is Melissa Polk, and joining me is Shanna Hibbard, and we are going to cover daily systems of operations, Topanga tasks your way, which is key. Custom is key here. So we are glad you're here. We really want to help you figure out and find your groove and customizing your daily activities and getting those suited to what makes sense for you and where you're doing life and how Topanga can fit into your life. And I think that's going to look different for all of us, much different. So let's first talk about just carving out time in general. So time is a pain point. I would say if you ask most people what they feel like they had more of, maybe beyond money, they would tell you more time. I see people post on social media, there are just not enough hours in the day. So I think sometimes with Topanga business, it's one more thing. And so one of the things that we want to talk about is how to make that work in your life, whatever that looks like. So let's talk first about non-negotiables. There are things we have to do. We have to. You might have a job that you have to do. You might work, at a different job. You have kids you've got to pick up from school, or you've got kids that have practices and you're running them around. You're that taxi mom. You're in that stage of life. You might have older kids. You might be going to class. You might be a student, things like that. Doctor's appointments, just anything you can think of that is a non-negotiable. Even going to the gym, having a class that you do that is going to sort of define your day, so to speak, and so that you can make Topanga work in the middle of that or around that. So what you do when you figure out those non-negotiables, you get those down, that's when you know for sure, okay, this is the time I have. And it could be time blocked by the day. So you need to think about that. And then from there is where you're going to work around what's left to plug in your IPAs, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Shanna's going to really dive into that. But one thing I want you to think about on the non-negotiables can still be Topanga related. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So you have kids that go to school. It would be fabulous to treat that teacher with a sample of something or a treat for, a really hard week. They've been virtual, or maybe they've been out sick. That's a way to introduce Topanga to somewhere where you're doing life. Also, same thing. One of the things that I've had really good success with is I keep it and take it to doctor's appointments. If I'm, heading to the pediatrician with a kid, or I'm going to the dermatologist, I'm going to make sure I'm bringing some samples to say thank you to their staff, especially right now with all the work they're doing in the healthcare field. So I think keep that hat on all the time. So even when you're not in the non-negotiable space at a basketball game, what better than to give them something that's going to make their kids' basketball bag and shoes smell better? So I do think we can also work it in. But the main thing is time blocking and figuring out how to make the most of your day so that you aren't wasting time and that you're doing all you can to work your business. So with that being said, I am going to toss this over to Shanna, and she is going to dig more into that for you.
Thank you, Melissa. So I'm going to talk about IPAs. And for those of you that don't know what an IPA is, it is income producing activities. So things that we can do in our day to help drive an income. So one of the things that I would consider an income producing activity is checking in on social media. So we are a virtual based business. We don't have a brick and mortar store with our Topanga products in it necessarily. So your social media is your open sign. Your website is your open sign. So checking in on social media and letting people know that you're open for business with Topanga products, ready to serve them and their families. Another thing is text or email your customers. So my children's teachers use the Remind app for texting in the class setting. And a couple distributors and I had gotten together and thought that would be awesome to communicate with customers, because it's almost like a group text message, but when the customer responds, it's just directly to you, the distributor, but you can mass message, 50 people at one time. So we thought that was a great tool. Some people use different email platforms to email their customers. And our back office, you guys, has a great email feature where you can filter out your customers or even your team and send out an email or individual emails to customer specific or team specific. So social media, text, and email communications with your customer is definitely income producing, and using those for follow-up. So the fortune is in the follow-up. Some of you may have heard that before. But if you send out samples to somebody or someone purchases from you and you never follow up with them, there's a good chance that you're going to lose them as a customer. So if you send out samples to somebody following up, if you mailed them, make sure they've received them. You don't want them to get lost in the mail and someone think you just flaked on them and didn't send the samples. So make sure they receive the samples, make sure they know how to use them, and then find out what they liked about them. And then as far as customers who make purchases, were they happy with their purchase? Do they know how to use their purchase? Is it something that they've never tried before? So following up to make sure that people receive our products, they receive them good, because sometimes things happen in shipping, and our company is great about helping with that. And following up and making sure that they're happy and they know how to use them. Another thing, you guys, is we all have websites that people can click on your website and place an order, and they may not know you. So send a thank you card. If you send that thank you card and it has your link, they know you for next time, instead of just hopping on the next distributor's website. So building those relationships through follow-up is also a really big deal in my book, because that builds trust with our customers. So following through, follow-up is definitely a big income producing activity. The next thing is follow through. So some distributors like to place what we call a bulk order for customers that are local to them to help their customers save on shipping. So if this is something that you're offering your customers, you want to make sure to follow through and that they receive those products from you. You want to make sure that you're in good standing with those people and that they receive their stuff just like they would if they were to get it from the company. And then making sure they receive it in a timely manner. Our shipping department in our warehouse is really good. About a 3-day or 3 business day turnaround time from the warehouse and getting it to USPS or UPS to get it to us. So if they can do that, we as distributors need to follow through and make sure our customers receive stuff as well in a timely manner. So those are a few of the IPAs. Another IPA is creating your prospect list. So if you're brand new in this business, you want to create a prospect list, and you want to have, think about who's in your warm market. Who do you know that is direct to you? Is it your sister? Is it your mother? Is it a cousin? Is it your best friend? The people that you talk to the most. And then you also want to start thinking about cold market, people that maybe you don't talk to all the time. But making that prospect list is also an income producing activity, because we have to know, who are we going to start letting know about our business? Who do we need to reach out to and say, hey, I've started a laundry detergent business. Would you like to try these products? So that list is definitely going to be an income producing activity, and it'll be ever changing, because guess what? Those people may turn into customers, and then from customers, they may turn into business partners, and it's a cycle that'll start all over again, which leads me into the laundry cycle. So in the laundry cycle, I'm just giving the analogy for you guys so you guys can kind of see how this works. But you're first going to have your growing prospect list. And then with that list, you're going to have an initial contact. And your initial contact needs to be, how do you talk to this person usually? So if it's someone that you text with, your initial contact can be a text. If it's someone you just talked to on Facebook, it can be on Facebook. If it's someone you pick up the phone and have a conversation with, you can do it that way as well. But you definitely don't want to come out of left field with something, with a phone call to somebody like through Facebook Messenger or something that you've never called before, okay? So keep it to how you usually communicate with them. And this doesn't have to be, the initial contact doesn't have to be about Topanga. It doesn't have to be, hey girl, I've started this new bit, the thing that we all go, oh. So the initial contact can genuinely be checking in on a friend. It can be, checking in on someone you haven't talked to in a while. Hey, you were just on my mind, that kind of thing. But building those relationships. And then That is your wash cycle, okay? The dry cycle is going to be your second exposure, and this is where you might offer them a free sample or to come have lunch with you and smell the detergents or what have you, but inviting them to be a part of your business, whether it's to sample something or to purchase something or just to hear you out. And then the next portion is going to be the fold and the follow-up. So if you sent them samples, like I said, the fortunes in the follow-up, did they use them? I'm going to tell you guys, there's been times that I've sent samples and it's been a month before someone got around to using them. So it's my job to follow up until I know they've tried the products. I know that, they know how to use the products and that kind of thing. And then the last one is going to be the where. So this is where you're going to get the, yes, I want to purchase Topanga, I love it, or the, it's not for me right now, or not right now, those different things. But I want you guys to know that just because someone tells you no, it doesn't mean no forever. And a no can also lead you to several yeses. They may have a friend that is like, oh my gosh, my friend Sally loves things that smell good. She's got all the candles. She's always got fun perfume. She would love this stuff. And you know what? You can send Sally a gift from your friend that said no and say, hey, she was thinking about you and she thought you would love this. So I thought I would send you some Happy Mail. So you can create magic for people in different ways and use them as referrals, even if it's not for them. But very rarely is it not for them. I'll tell you guys, if you're using the products, you've probably been complimented on the products, and people usually want to know what it's all about. So, but that is the laundry cycle. And you guys, it is never ending. Like this business, you're going to go through the stages of your business over and over. And I want you guys to know that there are going to be times that you don't have results, and there are going to be times that you're like, oh my gosh, everything's rocking and rolling. But you've got to go through the motions, you guys, and you've got to continue to be consistent and nurturing of your business. Melissa's going to talk a little bit about an analogy that we love to share with you guys to shed some light on that consistency and being patient and consistent in your business.
Awesome. Thank you, Shanna. All those things are so good. A good reminder for me that I need to keep doing all the things, and you'll get your system in that. I think too, like if you're a spreadsheet girl, guy, if you're not like me, you might have it all written down in a notebook. So there's no right, wrong way to keep up with those IPAs, but definitely doing them. I love the initial contact, the wash cycle. That's great. So think about this with business. This makes total sense if you think about it. So if you use the analogy of a farmer, so think about a farmer and all the work that goes into planting that season's crop, like a lot, getting the land ready, prepping the stuff, making sure they have everything they need to get that going. Then, watering, tending, then, eventually, hopefully harvesting that crop. Some of it grew, some of it didn't. Pulling out the weeds, because there's going to be weeds that come up. But at the end of the day, you're going to do that again. So, I would say this business in Topanga is the same thing. And so that's when we have to get that mindset of, I'm pushing through because it's just time for me to plant that crop again. So I want you to think there is that turnover in a sense, but when you think about that in that farmer analogy, that, every season's great. And so if you do the work, if you put that stuff in, if you're doing the IPAs and you're blocking that time and you're looking at it like that and knowing that you're going to have some weeds pop up and you're going to have some things that aren't fun in that season, in different seasons, I think it's going to help you with your mindset to keep plugging forward and keep at it for sure. And really just wrapping this up is that, we've got to be mindful of our time. And again, I think that's a huge pain point for people. I listened to a podcast recently that talked about not only do we need to time block, but we need to energy block. And so if we're our best and most creative at a certain time of day, and it's a time of day we can be present, that may be when we want to tackle our Topanga business. And then something that I've heard Shanna say before, if it's a hobby, which is great, then you're going to probably get paid like a hobby. If you treat it, if this is your business, you're going all in, then you're going to see those results, but it takes time. probably about 90 days per IPA round, I would say, is a good rule of thumb. So don't give up, stay at it, get your system, get what works for you, and figure out a good time blocking system, and you will be well on your way. And that wraps up this session. We'll see you guys later.